The sound of analog is something unique. Welcome to the 2x HD Fidelio studio. It's 30 feet by 17 feet large by 11 feet high. There's a lot of diffuser to control the sound. I don't want to have a dead room because dead is also a coloration, but I also need to have a control sound. Here more detail about the equipment. I use the Nagra T Audio with the 2 motor and the 2 cabestans. It's very gentle on the tape. On that head block I have stereo head or 2-track head to play back. If it is a US 2-track standard, so I can have the same way it was recorded. Or in Europe sometime it is the stereo that is 2.75 millimeter, so it's a bit more wide for the 2-track stereo. So from the head I go with a special cable made in balance mode to the tube taped preamp. On the tube taped I have a custom Nagra Master EQ curve. I also select all the tube from the 60s. It makes a very big difference if you compare tube and listen to them. And for the playback I use the Nagra HD preamp. That was something really important for me, because if you cannot hear what you do, there's no way you will take a good decision. From the doshi I go to compressor or EQ or reverb if I need. If I don't need, I go directly to a Nagra 4S with high-end silver cable from Siltech, and it's on battery, the Nagra, with SM900. So I can prepare edit master to send to the cutting mastering. So when you do a double album, I need to prepare 4 tape of about 11 to 12 minutes each maximum, and it will be edit. Everything is adjusted directly on my master, so the cutting engineer can be as transparent as possible, so you don't have to play with all the EQ and different thing he can do. I really want him to put as much volume as possible so the LP have no noise. So if I need processing, I will go to a vacuum tube point-to-point EQ, or if I also need compression, I will go to the Fern ear. As an example, the Shirley horn was recorded in the living room, so when the drum play loud, you really need to compress the drum. If you don't do that, all the rest of the album will be at something like minus 20 dB. So it will be just horrible as a LP, because the noise will be very high. So I use the compressor for that specific track. Here it's a pretty clean MPEX tube mixer that was used on Waltz for DB of Bill Evans or many other recording of the 60s. So I use that mixer to mix the EMT plate, the reverb plate. It's a gold foil that you send the signal on it, and you record at the end of the foil with a microphone. So it's kind of an echo chamber, but in a very small room. And I also have 4 CCIR Nagra 4S for tape copy. So those machines will record the same signal because it goes direct to the record head. So there's only one master recorder, that one. And all the rest, it is slave. What I mean, you don't go to the regular input section, but you go directly on the record head. So it's more transparent that way. After that, to play back the sound, you need to be comfortable with the way your system sound as a mastering engineer. So I have few reference. This is the Sonos Faber Stradivari. Was the last speaker made by Franco Serblin of Sonus Faber. It's a very special speaker because you have a full range frequency response, but also pretty musical mid-range, and the crossover is well made. I have other reference like the Graham LS58 and the Wilson DAW that I use quite a lot. The Stradivari is very hard to drive. So the HD amp, it's the kind of amp that will change everything about the speaker, because now the speaker is very well drive, so you can reach a very deep bass. It's effortless, dynamic. It's pretty good match. At the back you can see a Studer mixer. That Studer was used for the Jazz at the Pen Shop. The same model was used for Jazz at the Pen Shop. And you see some older DSD recorder. I have one subwoofer per channel, and here I have a special Telefunken that is custom made. I have a special tweak here for the resonance of the tape on the head. I can adjust that and it really changed the sound a lot. So I have some Saki head half-inch or quarter-inch mu-metal or glass ferrite. I really prefer mu-metal. This is the Nagra anniversary reference turntable. For me, it was really interesting because to get a reference to fine-tune the turntable was to have the master play here on the Nagra T with tube electronic being cut, and after that you play the Nagra turntable with the classic phono, and you need to be as close as possible. And after many thousands of hours, we are really happy about the result. The sound is very warm, deep, a lot of texture. And one thing that is unique, it is the suspension really work. I mean, most turntable will not really isolate the signal of that the cartridge read will not really be isolated. So let's say you put an accelerometer on the platter and you knock here, you will have no signal after the suspension. Most turntable, what you do on the stand or what you do on the floor, you will see the same signal, less loud, but you will see it. That turntable you can put on a subwoofer with a lot of bass, and you have no feedback of the bass on the platter of the turntable, because the suspension, it's about 3 Hertz, the isolation. So it's why it is so big and so large. And for sure the Exium platter was also really important in the sound. It's very neutral material. The tone arms that is handmade, and the super cap, and there's a lot to say about it, but at the end of the day, you listen to Shirley Horn and the sound is the voice of Shirley Horn. There's less coloration, and if you, let's say you hear a double bass, the double bass have no peak in the bass because of the feedback that you usually get on any turntable. That one, the bass is perfectly normal like it is on the master. You can see here, it's the modulum rack that is made for it. Again, there are special feet with copper. There's isolation between all shelf. There's resonator, like there's material under the shelf that do absorption of the sound. So the wood have less resonance. There's many detail about doing transfer, because if in your transfer you have resonance or you don't have transparency from the cable, you be sure that what you lose is loose forever. So there's really something you need to go into detail so you don't lose the color of the music, the refinement, the micro dynamic. So it's mostly a detail that will make the beautiful sound. This is the other recorder from Nagra. So there's the new Nagra 7th anniversary, the SN. the LB, the Nagra 5, Nagra 4, and 4S, and the 3. So this is the Shirley Horn tape. You have here the Sonny Boys Williamson tape from 1962. This is the Bill Evans, Top of the Gate. You have the Louis Armstrong here. So the tape goes in and out. It's not mine. I have to return them, but I have a job to do, and I do it. Some of those discs, the Analog Collection Volume 2 was disc of the decade for a high-end journal in Hong Kong. I got, I think, 7 album of the year from different magazines. The Monty Alexander was tape and also DSD of the year, and some other from Native DSD.